It's Christmas Day, and this is the Potaro Podcast. It's been a while. I'm doing fine. Can't say that things haven't been extremely stressful in many different ways, but what is life if it's not to test us, right? You either fall by the wayside under the pressure of reality, or you endure it and you get stronger for it. The one thing is, my eyes have been truly opened. I lost my dog this year. So this will be the first Christmas in 17 years that she isn't by my side. And that hurts me more than anything that people have done this year. Because that dog was loyal in a way that people never were. Unassuming, unconditional love. I love you, Bonnie. I love you with all my heart, darling. It's a sad Christmas without you, but I'll keep my chin up and I'll stay positive. The world is falling into a place of irrevocable narcissism. It's become a plague that's fueled by the modern mirror of technology, especially through the use of mobile phones. And it's hard to reach out and talk to anyone now with all this communication. Don't you think that's kind of ironic? Because the medium is not enough. It's the ability to communicate on a medium as well as the medium that matters. And if no one can agree on anyone else's position, in these sort of echo chambers of blockable realities, then what is the purpose of the communication? So I guess that's the starting point. My eyes are fully open, and things that I used to care about, things that used to make me happy, make me sad, really don't matter anymore at all. I've completely learned to get over myself, forged in a vitriolic fire of other people's bitterness, addiction and woe. And that's okay, because they didn't break me, and I have evolved into a completely different version of myself once again. And in a way, I've got to thank them, because if it wasn't for the pressure they put me through, this evolution wouldn't have been possible. So yes, it was painful. Yes, you were all completely selfish. Yes, you were lost addicts in a world of vitriolic pain. But I was able to make a transformation in spite of you, not because of you. And what was the nature of that transformation? Well, in this series of podcasts, that's what we're going to discuss. Actual human transformation and how one might go about it. We've all got this sense of being stuck in ourselves, and that's because of the subjective nature of the mind and how it internalises reality. But that got me thinking, what was the fundamental nature of that process? And when I looked around for answers to that question, it seemed that no one had worked it out. And I had been trying to work it out for 35 years, climbing this silent black mountain that I could have jumped off at any time, but stubbornly refused to let go of it and kept climbing and climbing. Of course, I did fall off it at different points, but every time I fell, I climbed back up to the point at which I fell off, and I continued to climb. A strange kind of mental tenacity. And although it seemed like a completely hopeless and pointless quest with metaphysical and metaphorical cliffs always towering above me, seemingly no way through, I just kept climbing. So what was the purpose of this journey up this mountain? I couldn't even tell you that. And as I've got older, I've realised that I've been on the same black mountain for over 35 years. And climbing the mountain, since it's not a real mountain, it's a metaphysical and intellectual mountain, an emotional mountain inside myself. These cliffs and ledges and paths are composed of things that exist inside the mind. The tortuous root of emotions through the reality of metaphysical perception. We do things as humans because we can do them, and we choose to do them for whatever reason we tell ourselves, because that is the only reason. And so I told myself that, for whatever reason I told myself that it wasn't an option to stop climbing. And as painful as it was, and I've lost count of how many times I've fallen off and got back up and started to climb again, it seemed in the end that it was only the mountain. And that it would be a mountain I would climb forever until the final day of my life, and I would never reach the top of it. But some things have happened over the last few months, which completely changed everything in a way which I just couldn't imagine. When I look back at earlier versions of myself further back down the mountain, with his reasons for doing things and his emotions and his subjective positions, always locked in that subjective reality, it seemed like a painful quest for nothing. Because what was the point of it all? And was there any real point if it was just my subjective reality? Was I just torturing myself? Or was there an actual reason for doing this? Well, it turns out there was an actual reason. And when I finally reached the top of the mountain, where I'm standing at the moment, literally at the top of this mountain I've been climbing for 35 years, clutching in my hands the answer, I wonder, is it an answer that I can share with anyone else? Because if other people could get this answer without climbing and spending a whole lifetime climbing, then that would be something meaningful, wouldn't it? So in these podcasts, we're going to go into what that answer is, what I've discovered, and what I can see from the top of this massive mountain as it overlooks the metaphysical landscape of reality. And I see everyone around me conducting their own lives on their own mountains, climbing for their own reasons. And today, although I'm older and things in some respects are tougher, I'm much happier than I've ever been. And all of the illusions and problems which I presented myself are seen to be what they are in the light of the vast vista of what I now see around me. And so, dear listeners, this is going to be the story of these podcasts. But I'm going to take my time, because after all, it did take me 35 years to climb the damn thing, and I couldn't just express it all in a moment. So, why don't you come with me on this metaphysical and ontological adventure and see if what I have discovered is something real that can benefit you. I really hope it can. I'm not really sure what the purpose of it was. I wasn't climbing for any reason other than climbing itself, because I got so used to climbing the mountain that I didn't want to do anything else. That had become my reality. It did seem pointless for many years and frustrating, constantly falling off into space and landing hard on the ground, only to get up again and keep climbing. But we would have to define climbing in the context of this metaphor. And climbing is thinking. Climbing is asking the same series of questions in a hope that you would get a different answer. Remember what Einstein said. The very definition of insanity is asking the same question over and over and hoping for a different answer. And it did feel like insanity while I was climbing, because it was the same questions I was asking over and over again and coming up with the same answers. But somehow I felt inside myself that those weren't the right answers, and that there were other answers beyond those answers. And so I would have to break through the insanity in some form by continually asking the question. And it did seem like a hopeless quest. But from my position today on top of the mountain, I can see that the quest isn't hopeless at all, that it is completely meaningful, and that the journey was actually worth it. That these bloodied fingers and all the pain that I've gone through climbing these damn rocks has led to something really amazing. And in these podcasts, I'm going to tell you about it. So this is just a little introduction by way of what I'm going to do over the next few weeks. I'm going to take you on a journey with me up this mountain from the very beginning to the very top, and hope that once we get there that you will be able to see what I can see and know what I know without having to climb the damn mountain yourself and go through all the shit that I went through to get here and see the view that I currently see. Now, to summarise, what is that knowledge? What is that view or journey I'm proposing to take you on? Yes, it's a journey in mind. It's a journey from the lowlands of consciousness up to the heady heights of metaphysical ontology, naming the fundamental aspects of what reality is in the mind so that we can control it. After all, the mind is all you've got. And as subjective as it is, and locked in itself as it is, it's the only tool you have for navigating reality. So understanding that tool and getting the most out of it, and understanding your internal relationship to your own being and how that being relates to reality, well, that's the questions which form the basis of the path up the mountain. We're looking for something fundamental here, not something emergent. We're not talking about psychology or empathy or kindness or any of the things which are emergent. We want something fundamental. We need a fundamental description of what the mind is and what the mind does. And if we can reach that fundamental description, and I'm excited to tell you that I have one, that you can truly get control of your own mind at last. Stop wasting time fighting your own self, feeling like there's no control inside your head, when really the truth is that you have got all the answers. It's just a matter of pointing the mind in the right direction and setting it straight, and then living your life from that point with a little bit of bravery. So, if this sounds interesting to you, then please, welcome. Follow me on this adventure, because I can assure you it's going to be interesting. It's Christmas Day, 25th of December, 2023, 10:14 a.m, and I am finally smiling, and I hope you are too. I'll see you in the next podcast.